Like art, their perception of you is an interpretation. You might think you don't know who you are or what your identity is, but what if I told you I believe that you do know? Deep down, you know what your identity is. You know who you are. You give yourself little clues, things that you like, things that you dislike, things that you literally cannot stand. And these are little pieces that make up the whole puzzle of who you are, right? But when we're still unsure of what that looks like, we can take on other people's interpretations of their interactions with us or their interpretations of how they perceive us, and we attach that to ourselves. What somebody else says that you are, that doesn't mean that you are that thing. You know yourself better than other people. There is such a thing as being not self-aware, but usually when we hear comments or negative criticism or things like that from other people based off of their perception or their interaction with us, many things can come into play with that. And if you're not secure, if you're not self-confident, or if you just don't really have a good grasp of your identity, you might fall for it. You might fall for it. This video has multiple points and we're going to get into each and every single one, and I'm going to let them explain themselves. So point number one, interpretations are just suggestions. They are literally just suggestions, and I need you to treat them as such. I don't know why you take everything that other people say about you as fact or as something that is ironclad and could not be changed. I think we need to bring back questioning things. People stop questioning stuff and just take things for face value, and you wonder why you were getting lied to all the time by different sources like the media and TikTok and your friends. You just take things and you don't go back and question them. You don't go back and look at the information that somebody gave to you and find out for yourself whether that is true or not, or find out for yourself whether you believe that or not, or whether you subscribe to that or not. If someone says that they view me as mean because I pushed back on a comment that they made, was I truly mean? Or did they just interpret it as me being mean because they are uncomfortable with the idea of someone disagreeing with them? If you call out a joke that your friends made at your expense because you didn't like it, and they translate it as you killing the fun or you being boring, are you truly boring or a killjoy? Or was it that you actually establishing boundaries for yourself and respecting yourself no longer benefits them and they don't like that, so they interpret it as you being a killjoy, too serious, not being fun? Other people perceiving your actions a particular type of way is just a suggestion. You don't have to absorb it and you don't have to adopt it for yourself. Of course, there is a way to conduct yourself if you are truly saying your opinion or disagreeing with someone and you do so disrespectfully. Then you can't really say, am I truly being mean, or do you just not like people disagreeing with you because you are rude, you are disrespectful, you are not putting across your thoughts and opinions in a way that is honorable. So that reasoning goes out the window. But going back to how interpretations are a suggestion and how you can adopt other people's interpretations of you if you are not quite sure of yourself or you don't know yourself that well. People used to perceive me as shy. People still perceive me as shy. So years ago, when I was a teenager or when I didn't fully understand myself, I fully accepted this interpretation of myself. I fully subscribed to it. I was like, oh my gosh, I am shy. Literally did no questioning. I fully took on what other people said about me, because when you have low self-esteem, you value other people's opinions more than yourself. So I took them because I knew that I had the mindset that they know what they're talking about. I value them more than I value myself, so I'm going to stick to what they have to say about me rather than what I have to say about me. They perceive me as shy or even enigmatic because of the way that usually upon meeting people in a group settings, I was silent, observed more than I spoke. I didn't really say anything. But after multiple experiences, after some self-reflection and just growth in general, I finally realized that all this time I wasn't shy. I just didn't speak if I didn't have anything to say. I don't talk for the sake of talking. So I guess you could say that I'm more reserved than I am shy, or more introverted than I am shy, because I can be bold if I want to, and I usually am. But after I came to that realization that I'm not shy, I'm just reserved, or I'm just introverted, or that I just don't speak for the sake of talking, it changed everything. Because when I took the shy interpretation of me as fact, I was so anxious. I stressed myself out because I thought it was more of an anxiety thing that I wasn't interacting with people rather than just the way that I was. I thought that that was the reason why I wasn't making friends, all of that type of stuff, and was trying to force myself to come out of my shell, trying to push myself to speak more. But then it was when I understood myself, I then rejected that interpretation because it wasn't true. And I felt more at ease with myself. I acted accordingly to what I now know about myself. I now entered social situations with less anxiety because I'm not shy. I do actually have the ability to speak when I want to. I just choose when I want to. And because of that authenticity, because I allowed myself to act in a way that was authentic to me, I attracted people, I attracted friends that understood that, were attracted to that, or bounce off of that, or feed off of that. Of course, from time to time, it does sometimes come up as a little bit of a worry or an insecurity, my lack of readiness to speak in social situations, because I find that the society is one that tends to favor the extroverts. But if we bring it back to the whole art analogy, there are some people who resonate with Picasso, and there are some people who find comfort in Monet. Pun not intended. There are people who like both Picasso and Monet. So if you're experiencing something similar where you know that the way that you are is not something that is negative or bad, you are just more introverted, you do a lot more of your processes and interactions inside of yourself rather than outside, but you know that it's not linked with anxiety or something, you just need time. You just need time to either open up or time to process things. Don't worry and don't fret, because there will be people out there that will take that time with you, and there will be people out there that might shorten the time it takes for you to express yourself or shorten the time it takes for you to think about things. There is somebody for everybody. There are people who get along with every type of person. Don't worry and don't fret. Your people are coming your way. The next point is that interpretations can be a projection sometimes. People can have an idea of you, yes, but is that idea of you, you? Why do you think that your understanding of yourself isn't justified just because another person says differently? If I'm the color burgundy, and I know I'm the color burgundy, I can ask somebody else what they think I am, and they might say that I'm red. It's not wrong, but it doesn't give a holistic interpretation of me. I can go ahead and ask somebody else. Let's say I'm burgundy, I ask somebody else what color I am. If that person happens to be colorblind, they'll say that I'm gray, which I'm not, but that's what they see me as. So then, if I know I'm burgundy, but then this colorblind person says that I'm gray, why am I now doubting myself and starting to think that, I could potentially be gray? Or why am I now looking at myself and being like, actually, I do see a little bit of a silver tinge? If you know you're burgundy, why are you going out of your way due to the feedback that you received? When you know that that's not you, going out of your way to make your burgundy brighter, more vibrant, more obvious, so that the colorblind person can affirm you. They will always and only see gray. Just like sometimes when people are projecting their own insecurities or ideals onto you and saying that that's your personality, they will only ever see you as that thing, because it's internal. It's a them problem, it's not a you problem, so you cannot change that. That's all they can see. And so people's perceptions of you, whilst they can be a projection of their own limitations, of how much they can see, what they can see, and how they see it, it isn't wrong to them. It's just unique. And you don't need to accept it, and you also don't need to absorb it, because they are not you. Who are they to tell you who you are when you're the one that's living in the body that you are, having the life experiences that you are, having your own brain that you are with 24/7? They cannot tell you who you are, you can. Now, am I saying that everybody is fully self-aware in every single stage of their lives? No, absolutely not. I know that I wasn't. If we still go with the color analogy, some people might go for a very long time proclaiming that they're red, right? I'm red, I'm red, I'm red. Oh, I'm so red. I'm always red. I'm red. But then if they mature, if they sit down with themselves, if they take time to discover themselves, they might find out that they were actually orange. The next point is, When it comes to identity, self-esteem, self-discovery, all of these types of things, when you are someone that takes on the criticisms and the opinions of someone too much, I feel like it's essential for everybody to take the time to discover themselves and to come to the point that they are sure enough of who they are. It's okay not to know yourself fully. Discover yourself with time and discover yourself with grace. You don't have to accelerate your learning process for anybody. You don't have to speed it up for anybody. If you look at yourself as art, you know that art is to be discovered, it's to be understood, it's to be loved, and it's to be appreciated. You need to understand yourself first. You need to discover yourself first. You need to appreciate yourself first, and you need to love yourself first. Once you discover yourself, or you discover facets of yourself at least, you will then be able to portray yourself more accurately and more authentically than you did before. This means that you won't have, or you will have less of, a performer mentality. And this is when somebody acts a specific type of way because they know that it will be pleasing to other people, and that's what other people want to see, rather than portray themselves in a way that makes them happy. Once you understand yourself, you can be firm in the knowledge of who you are. And when you love yourself, which is different, you will have full knowledge of your quirks, of your skills, of your flaws, and accept them. So when someone comes with an interpretation that is unfavorable to you or that is not like you, you can keep it pushing, you can keep walking, because it doesn't make you a bad person. It means that you are growing. It means that they have that experience with you. It doesn't always have to necessarily reflect on you, but it just means that you are a person, you are a human, you have room to grow, and that's it. That is also why I said with grace. Like art, you are versatile, very complex. There are different layers to you. But unlike art, you are sentient and you are a human. So you will make mistakes. You'll fall, you might get angry, you might get irritated, you might even be mean. But guess what? Discovering yourself with grace means that your mistakes do not define you. I'm going to say that one more time. Discovering yourself with grace means that your mistakes do not define you. As you grow, it will be the falls that help your walk back up the hill be faster, be quicker, and be stronger, because the path is no longer unfamiliar to you. You know what to expect, you know how to conduct yourself, and you will represent yourself in a way that makes you the most proud. Once you discover yourself more, you'll be able to realize the things that maybe you did wrong, that is not something that should be added to yourself, or the things that you did right that you know is something that's true to your core, to your values, and you'll be able to adapt that, change that, mix it up so that the next time you can present yourself more accurately and properly in this situation. The next point is, why are you begging people to see what you truly are the way that you see it? You want everybody to see you a specific type of way, and if they don't, you feel like you're failing at portraying yourself as that thing. Some people pick up on stuff, some people don't. Some people see other things first than the thing that you're wanting them to see. Some people will see what they want to see, and you cannot change that, nor should you be bothered by it. If you pride yourself in a particular trait or characteristic, but when people don't comment on it or notice it, it causes you to crash out. It causes you to be like, oh my gosh, wait, do I actually have this trait? Am I actually good at this thing? This can be one of two things. Either one, you have reduced your value to that singular characteristic or that singular trait, or you don't have that trait to begin with, and that is okay. That pride that you have on that characteristic or that trait or that value that you think you have is based on insecurity. So when somebody isn't affirming that, you are then having a crisis about the way that you're portraying yourself, or you're starting to overthink this characteristic. This is an ego thing, but not only is it an ego thing, it's performer mentality. I call it performer mentality. In order to kill this mentality completely and to stop living to fix other people's perception of you into this specific mold, is to free yourself from the shackles of external validation. I've already made a video on that. I will link it here, I think. Go watch it. If you are someone that struggles with people pleasing, external validation, male validation, watch that video, because that does not bring you any forward in life. It just either keeps you stagnant or brings you back. We need to be advancing. We are humans. We are meant to evolve. We are meant to grow. We are meant to get better and keep it pushing. You craving external validation is going to keep you trapped at whatever level people think that you are at. Even if you are far more advanced, you will stay there and continue there and remain there. You'll remain there. Do you want that for yourself? No. Go watch the video. When it comes to art, the viewers can view the art for as long as they want to, but they will never be the art. They're not the artist, so they will not be able to perceive the art correctly inside and out. They're not the artist, so they won't be able to perceive the art correctly, holistically. They will know facets and different pieces about it. They might even come close to understanding the art, because human beings can be very perceptive. Human beings are very intelligent. However, that doesn't mean that they're right all the time, and they will never understand the art the way that the artist will. So, we've talked about all these different points: identity, that touch on validation, that touch on self-discovery, that touch on insecurity, low self-esteem. A lot of these types of things that I like to talk about on my channel as someone that used to struggle with all of these things before. I remember literally when I was having a class, I don't even know what kind of class it was. I was the best word I can describe for this, when I was younger, I was a very Socratic student. Kind of died in me a little bit after certain responses that I got from teachers and things. But I used to always ask questions. Always. In my class, like primary 2, I literally remember, I think I was in primary 3. So in primary 3, you're like 7? I don't know, 7 I think. The teacher was talking about something to do with self-discovery, which is an interesting topic to bring to a bunch of 7-year-olds, but I think it was a tangent that she was on. I remember asking her, how do you get to know yourself? What if I don't know who I am? And she didn't have an answer for me. She really didn't. I'm guessing it's probably because she doesn't know how to explain it to a 7-year-old, but I just remember asking questions like that, and I remember thinking about stuff like that. But if you're not someone that naturally is very into self-development, that naturally is into self-growth, that naturally is into self-discovery or the discovery of things, you can start that today, because you don't deserve to be chained and framed in a way that other people have you if you know that that's not the way that you are. If you want to not let other people's interpretations get to you, detach your self-worth from what others say about you, from what others think about you. Depersonalize it. So then you can view what they say as a reflection of their experience, rather than an ironclad description of who you are. If you want to not let other people's interpretations get to you, spend time with yourself and understand yourself. You get to decide who you want to be. You get to decide how you come off. Make sure it's authentic and make sure that you live and act with intention. If you want to not let people's interpretations get to you, remember that people can sometimes project because other people can only meet you as far as they have met themselves. If you watch this whole video and it resonates with you, then it will be easy for you to now begin the journey of understanding yourself and understanding others. This channel, I want to talk more about self-care. I want to talk more about helping people, self-development, about growing yourself, releasing yourself from the shackles of other people's opinions, what other people say about you, from reducing your value to the words of others. I want to talk about all of that, but all of that cannot be done or fixed if you do not start the journey of actually wanting to know who you are. Because then you will never be able to act in a way that is fully detached. You will never be able to act in a way that's fully confident. You will never be able to act in a way that truly is loving, in a way that is not selfish but self-concerned, if you don't know how to do that in a way that is authentic to you. You will just be copying someone else, and that will be true to them, but it won't be true to you. And at some point, when that performance has an accident, it will then cause you to crash out because you don't know the role inside and out, because it's not you. View yourself through this analogy of art. And remember that people can perceive you, but their perception is just an interpretation, and you should treat it as such.